Hello, this is Kathy Summers from the Stress Management and High Performance Clinic with a few tips on how to start decreasing worry. Do you find anxiety increases when you say things like, what if this project doesn't get done on time? What if it's not good enough? What if I let them down? Or do you get caught on anxiety's fishhook by saying things like, I feel funny. What if the feeling gets worse? What if there's something really wrong with me? What if I'm having an anxiety attack right now? What words prefaced every statement I've said? What if? It's one of the scariest phrases that I know. It can make us anxious and emotional because we usually fill in the blank after what if with something that we perceive as being unmanageable or awful or I couldn't stand it or I don't want that to happen to me. You may not literally use the words what if. Maybe it's a mental picture of being anxious or thoughts of a negative outcome. In the coming week, watch out for worry and the what ifs. The definition of worrying is talking to yourself a lot about negative things or problems you're afraid are going to happen in the future. Strategies to curb worrying usually address the thoughts, challenging them, or shifting the emotion, self-calming, or bringing our mind into the present moment rather than being in the future. We'll never stop all worrying because human brains know that tomorrow will dawn a new day, and with it, some problems. If I suspect a problem for tomorrow, wouldn't it be nice if I could prevent it from happening? That's the evolutionary advantage of worrying, thinking ahead and problem solving for survival. A disadvantage comes from our brain's negativity bias. Have you heard of the negativity bias? When I worry and say, what if a problem crops up? My brain's not going to let go of that. It will hold on to the negative thought like Velcro. It wants me to survive and be safe, to come up with a plan to get through it. Then I can let go of the thought. So this is the antidote to keeping worry manageable. Come up with a plan to either prevent the situation from occurring, or for expert what-ifers who say, what if it happens anyway, despite my plans? The real antidote is making a plan for how I would handle it if it indeed occurs. I will handle it is our mantra. When they worry, most people are not thinking of a coping plan. They're thinking how bad it could be, playing over and over potential catastrophes, and not curbing the push from our negativity bias to overestimate how bad things can be, or its push to underestimate our ability to deal with it, or its push to ruminate on the worries. The word ruminate comes from ruminant animals, like cows, who have more than one chamber in their stomach, chewing all day on the grass that they've eaten. When we mentally chew on the negative thoughts over and over again, we are ruminating. One of the most powerful worry-curbing strategies is to make an action plan for getting through the situation, drafting it well before bedtime, so you have a few hours afterward to unwind and calm yourself before bed if the topics were emotional. Get into the habit of worrying every day in your worry time, to train your brain and make this exercise even more effective. Ideally, you will worry right. W-R-I-T-E. Let's try it. Pause this recording for a moment right now while you get a pen and paper. Now, take the piece of paper and divide it into two columns. The first column is the list of your worries. Title the column, What If? It's not an easy task to record your worries, and it may feel uncomfortable to face some of the possible situations. But when it's done, you'll see that you do have options. Now that you've written "what if" at the top of the first column, pause this recording right now so you can jot down all of the things that you're worrying about today. If you've written some worries that are totally unrealistic, pure science fiction, take a moment to stroke them out and recognize that they were just thoughts, not facts. Fiction, not reality. Look at the worries written down and make the general ones more specific. For example, rather than generally saying, "What if I don't get a good sleep?" you may be more specifically worried about being tired tomorrow or other consequences of poor sleep. Being specific will make it easier to work in column 2. Now, title the second column, So What If Blank? I Will Handle It By, and this is where you will write your action plans. Pause this recording right now to jot down what you would do to prevent or minimize or best get through the situations in column 1 if they did occur. How did it feel to write down some action plans? Usually there's a decrease in anxiety, an easing, a lessening of discomfort. This is why it's highly recommended. When we get through the short-term pain of listing things in column 1, we may experience the long-term gain of decreasing anxiety and worry by completing column 2. If you're feeling more stressed, perhaps you realized that the problem is one that you have no control over. We can't control the weather or the economy or other people. As much as we might want to, we cannot control others, only ourselves and our own behaviors. Perhaps it's someone else's problem, and they are the one who will have to take action. When things are not in our control, some folks tell me they write down, "God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference." While others write, "I can't control the wind, but I can adjust my sails." If you have space left in column 2, please write this phrase for future reference when a situation is not within your control. I might not be able to control this situation, but I can control my reactions in this situation. And after this, you would write the responses and actions you would do to get through the situation, to stay strong by focusing on things you can control. Things like talking to a friend, riding your bike to burn out frustration, stretching to loosen tight muscles, meditating to self-calm, eating nutritiously, protecting sleep time, being physically active, or other things to stay strong and get through a rough patch. Now that you've written down the best action plans you can come up with today, put the paper away, in your pocket, a drawer, book, file folder, or shred it. Park it. Put it safely away in a spot where only you have access to it. Later, when you're involved in daily activities, and your brain says, "What if? What if?" you can say, "So what if? I'll handle it. If the situation occurs, I'll activate my plan." And mentally imagine putting the paper away again, safe and ready. I know it sounds very trite to say just take a piece of paper and write down your worries and the coping plan. Decades of research tell us how effective this is. And so many of my clients report it works. The research recommends you test it for yourself by doing the Worry Right exercise every day for at least 2 weeks. And if you have a tendency to obsessive or compulsive thoughts or behaviors, do it twice a day for 2 weeks as your experiment. The only way you'll know how helpful it can be is by trying it daily for at least 2 weeks. It's so effective because it checks off all of the boxes. It curbs overestimating how bad it can be because it's written down in black and white and can't mushroom to a scarier size. It curbs underestimating my ability to deal with it because I'm reminding myself that I will handle it. I'm an intelligent, creative person with strengths, abilities, resources, and I can learn new skills. It curbs ruminating by parking it and making it easier for my brain to move on to other things. It curbs uncertainty because I have a plan that I can follow. And it curbs the urgency of worry thoughts when I make time to address worries and write plans every day in my worry time. Worry Right checks off all of the boxes. Note, it's stronger to say, I will handle it, rather than saying, I can handle it. Because a voice in your head may respond to, I can handle it, with, but what if I can't? What if it's really bad? Do you hear those what ifs? Questioning whether you can handle it? Your new mantra is the power phrase, if it comes to pass, I will handle it. It's normal for the brain to worry. Keep it constructive by focusing on action plans, focusing on things you can control. This week, watch for worrying, for what ifs. Get in the habit of saying, I will handle it. Set a worry time, well before bed. Worry right, and record your action plan for handling it. Then park it and put it away. If you're a worrier, I urge you to write them down. If you haven't done this exercise already today, take a few minutes right now to worry right, recording your action plans. Do it every day and let me know how it goes. If you'd like to learn even more about worrying and strategies that decrease it, check out the Stop Worrying Workshop, private training, or other programs at the Stress Management and High Performance Clinic. Full details are on the website. I'd love to hear from you.